Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. We have a really good show for you today. We got a celebrity on during the first hour. Rich Gaspari is going to join me in just a moment. Later in the show, we're going to talk about a little trick for those of you who like to drink during the holidays like me, how to avoid feeling horrible, taking steps backward in your diet, and also waking up the next day feeling ready to go again. But that's later in the show. First, we have to thank our title sponsor, Legendary Foods. The website is eatlegendary.com. The code is SHR10. You'll not only save 10% off of everything they have there, and if you're a low-carb, low-sugar person, you're going to get lost on their website. But you'll also let them know you heard about them here on Superhuman Radio. Again, eatlegendary.com is the website, SHR10 for 10% off. And as you can see, we moved over the holiday, and I can't find my razor. So I look like the crazy professor today, but that's the way it goes. I actually wore a green hat, a camo hat, but I forgot it picked up the green screen. So it looked like there was things dancing on my head. So I had to go without the hat today. But without further delay, let us bring Rich Gaspari on. And, how you doing, Rich?
Good. It's I'm in the middle. I'm here in New Jersey. I live on the bay, and there's a big monsoon going on right now. So don't mind that you may hear like heavy rain.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy weather all over the United States right now. It's really weird. We're supposed to get snow here in Kentucky today, so we'll see what happens.
Wow, snow.
So we're going to talk about something that is kind of a secret, but it's out in the open. It's one of these secrets that seems to be out in the open. Very few people pay attention to it. When I posted about this show this morning, people had all sorts of ideas of what we were going to talk about, but I don't think any of them realized what we're going to talk about. So part of being a professional bodybuilder is stage presence, right?
Yes.
And part of that is preparation for stage presence, which is posing.
Yes.
But posing and flex work in and of itself provides some sort of difference in the pro athlete's body than the average gym warrior. Given the gym warrior does everything that the pro does, except he's not really working on posing. He's not flexing. He's not activating those muscles. So did you realize at some point in your career that you were getting benefits from the posing and the flex work that you were doing?
Definitely. It's funny that we're talking about posing, and I think it's very important, especially in today's bodybuilding, that many of the current amateurs and even some pros are really not taking advantage of really using posing as a method to get their body to become much harder, more dense, being able to control your muscles a lot easier when you're on stage. People work hours and hours in the gym. They're, dieting, and they're doing all this prep, and it's all to be on that stage. Yet they're not taking advantage of it. And some of these people are either lazy or they don't know the benefits of what posing does. And when you ask me, when did I know the benefits of posing? I think I came in a good era. I feel I'm like in the.
Yeah, I just lost your audio.
80s into 90s.
You're back then. Okay, we lost your audio. Good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Is there something wrong with the?
No, you're fine now. Good. It just dropped out for a second. Good. So, because I want to ask you this question.
What's going on with the volume?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Rich? You can't hear me?
I don't know what happened. It just all of a sudden, somebody was calling into my phone.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Okay, now they're gone. So maybe that's
Okay. Okay, can you hear me now?
Now I hear you fine.
Okay, so back in the day, there were lots of fathers of physical culture who believed in dynamic tension work.
Yes.
Talk about that and how that kind of was the precursor to the whole idea of the gains you can get from doing posing work and flex work, right?
Definitely. Dynamic tension. It was funny. What was that course back in the day, Carl?
Angelo Siciliano, Charles Atlas.
Charles Atlas.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I was a kid, that was one of the first courses I bought, because I wanted to not have people kick sand in my face with the old cartoon.
And then the girl leaves with you. Remember the girl?
Yeah.
Right.
So, that was probably the beginning signs that I learned about, posing and dynamic tension and holding poses. But really in the gyms that I trained at, I really did learn a lot with the old school bodybuilders that, posing was a very important part of displaying your body, but also, having muscle control. And I felt it was a secret weapon where I was known as the most dense, most ripped bodybuilder. I felt it was a secret weapon for me because I would spend hours and, not 15 minutes, but, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes in a posing room, going through mandatory poses, going through transition poses, going through my routine and doing it over and over. And if you think posing is easy, I was totally, winded, sweating. It's not easy when you're really in there, holding your muscle. But I did feel it was an advantage because when I was on stage, I literally could stand there on stage and through time start to fill out because I started getting, picked.
Right. And then you get up there and you pose. The muscle bellies would get filled with blood and you'd get harder and harder.
While the guys I was going against, they didn't do that. They actually would look good at the beginning and start to shrink. So I would improve through the time on stage. So yes, I believe it was a big part of my success. And it's funny, Carl, because it was so big in the late 80s, 90s. And then little by little, I think a lot of it had to do with them not scoring the posing round. And as soon as the IFBB NPC stopped scoring the posing round, people, the athletes then said, well, it's not important for me to go through this routine that takes a lot of time. So they stopped posing. And I think it's coming back now with the classic physique. And, some bodybuilders, Sergio Oliva Jr. is a good example.
Right.
He's really into the posing and, he's like a historian when it comes to bodybuilding because of his dad. So I hope that he comes back, but I definitely see a difference on someone who poses and who doesn't pose.
So let's talk about this for a second. So there's a lot of gym rats out there that train very hard and they seem to achieve a certain level of muscularity, but you're right. They don't get that density. That density seems to be missing for some reason. How many hours a day or how many days a week and hours per day did you do flex work, dynamic tension work, posing work as a regularity?
Well, in the off season, I would do posing more so just in the gym after, say, I did a set of lat pull downs. I would then do like a lat spread to practice a lat spread to get my body and the nerves used to hitting that pose. And if I would do, say, like a row, a barbell row or dumbbell row, I would then practice doing my back shots in between my sets. That's what I would do in the off season. When I got around 12 weeks out from a show, I started posing at least 4 days a week, going in the room for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and just going through mandatories over and over and over, and then coming up with a routine. Usually, 3 months out, I would come up with my routine that I would do for the Olympia, for the Arnold. So posing was important off season. I would do that in the gym in between sets. 3 months out, I would start then practicing just the posing, you know, whether 30, 40 minutes after my workout. And then little by little, as the show got closer and closer, increase my posing more and more and more. Where I was telling you, I would do double splits training in the morning. I would do 45 minutes of posing after I was done training, come back in the afternoon, train again, then do another 45 minutes to an hour of posing.
Do you think there's a different value to, and you know, I know people listen to this, they're going, posing. These guys are talking about posing like this is the secret weapon, but you have to understand something. Nerve innervation into muscle is the difference between a 160-pound guy who can squat 4 times his body weight and a guy who could barely squat his own body weight, because the more nerve innervation you have, the more inroads you have into the muscles, the nerves, the more fibers you fire. And I would say, and you can correct me, that happens when you constrict the muscle and hold it like that for long periods of time, regardless of the weight that you're handling. And so, do you think there's a difference between flexing that muscle, holding that muscle tense, post-workout versus fresh? Like, okay, I'm not even going to the gym today. I'm just going to work. I'm going to do an hour and a half. I'm going to hit every pose I need to hit. I'm going to do the transitions. I'm going to really, like you said, dripping sweat, an hour and a half of posing. You think there's a different value to one versus the other?
I mean, I think so. I mean, when you're just doing it after a set of your workout, when you're already pumped, it just gets your bodies, like you said, your nerves used to contracting or hitting that certain pose, getting your body used to going through certain transition poses. When you're just in a room by yourself posing, you will definitely see your body get harder as you continue to pose. You get more of that, I call it mind to muscle connection, that you're able to control, your muscle that you're hitting. Like I was able to put, and no lie, put a half inch on my arm. My arms are always my lagging body part. I had good triceps, but not real big bicep. I had to compete against guys like Albert Beckles and Robbie Robinson. And I had good arms, but not great arms. And I really had to pose my biceps to really get that contraction. So it showed, a peak when I went against guys who had really, really great arms. So I believe it really did help me a lot in muscle control. And like I said, it seemed to be a lost art. Even vacuums, very difficult to do. If you don't practice a vacuum, it was funny, like 4 or 5 years ago, top pros, I'm talking about guys like Kai Green, Branch Warren, Phil Heath. I asked them, hey, do you do a vacuum? They had no idea on how to do a vacuum. And these are Mr. Olympias and Mr. Olympia contenders that couldn't do it. It seems to now change. You remember when Arnold actually said something that the competitors look like refrigerators.
Right. Right.
And he was, the IFBB and NPC was very upset that he made those comments. But a year later, there was a difference because you actually saw bodybuilders starting to hit, vacuums, starting to hit, their poses better. And I'm happy to see, through the classic physique, that they're starting to practice more. Yeah, it's coming back.
Part of that problem is also the sheer amount of calories that today's top bodybuilders are eating gives them a distended stomach, just processing all that food.
Yes.
It makes it virtually impossible to produce a vacuum. Back in your day, there was still a certain level of aesthetics. You think of Gironda and guys like that, they still had that narrow waist, you know what I mean? They didn't have that big bulging gut yet. And a lot of people want to blame it on drugs. I don't think it's drugs, because we see this in the general population too, where they're not athletes and they have that same distended stomach.
No, I agree with you. Working with professional athletes, the difference that you said is the body weight I would be at the highest body weight was 220. I see guys at my height at 5'8", 5'9", at 260.
Yeah.
So they're another 40 pounds more muscle. And then, I had athletes that represented Gaspari, like Flex Lewis and Branch Warren. And I watched these guys eat. I couldn't believe the amount of food they had to consume. And it was the only way to keep that kind of muscle. So you're right. When I talked to a guy like Branch Warren, I said, you can't do a vacuum. He goes, well, I'm eating like 2 steaks and, 3 baked potatoes and vegetables, and then another 2 steaks or a half pound of chicken or fit. And you're right. To gain that much muscle, you have to consume more food. But what's going to happen, it's going to make it very difficult for you to have that smaller waist.
Yes.
I actually, it was funny because I tried to get bigger because I was going against Lee Haney, 8-time Mr. Olympia, who was he was taller, but also more broader than me. And I was trying to beat him at his own game to be bigger. So the 1 year I tried to get bigger, my obliques got thicker. I was bigger. I was 10 pounds more muscle. But the issue was that I still came in second that year, but they said if I continue going on that route of getting bigger, that I would be put back, because I had to keep that waist to shoulder differentiation.
Yeah.
And I started looking more blocky. And then, the Dorian era came about. And, when the Dorian era came about, it was all about being big.
Right.
And it changed the sport. I think from the Dorian era, from the mid.
Did we lose you again? Somebody's calling you again?
In a minute.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. There you go. You're back. Can you hear me? We have to wait. He's getting a call on his phone.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, hold on. I'm not sure why that happens every time.
Somebody calls you. Yeah. You just have to wait for them to hang up.
Hold on. Is it good now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
No, it's not.
Hold on.
How's it now?
I can hear you. I've always been able to hear you, but you can't.
It's still doing that. Okay.
Okay. You hear me? Yes? No? Yes.
I don't want to leave and come back. I'm sure.
Technical. Well, if you want to, you can leave and come back. I'll take a commercial break.
Hold on.
Let me see something here. Oh, it's okay. He's going to come right back. Technical difficulty. He's doing the interview from his phone. He was unable to get to a computer fast enough. So he should be coming back here in a second. I think what we're going to do is take a break. Let's do this. Let's take a commercial break. We'll be right back with more. We'll discuss more of this topic with Rich Gaspari. Stay tuned. We shall return. Sit tight, Rich. We're going to take a break.
Static.
Sit tight.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said that all disease begins in your gut. That's why it's so important to protect yourself with boosted immune system. If you drink coffee, tea, smoothies, or really any beverage in the morning, and you're looking to and defend yourself against harmful bacteria, then I have just the thing for you to try. It's called the Ultimate Immunity Protection Stack, and it was put together by my friends over at Bioptimizers. Their Immunity Stack has 3 products which contain over 18 natural herbs and probiotic blends formulated to fight and eliminate bad bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, and repair compromised gut lining. It also includes psychobiotics, which help help increase serotonin and happy chemicals to naturally elevate your mood, performance, and cognitive function with no side effects or dependencies. It's a great addition to your morning routine, and it tastes amazing. Just stir it into any beverage, sip, and enjoy. It's the ultimate way to boost your immune system right before the holiday season. Go to shrnetwork.biz/ultimate immunity and use code SHR10 and save an extra 10% off on the. You won't find this deal or stack anywhere else, and this special is only until November 30th. For fast shipping and the best deal, go to shrnetwork.biz/ultimate immunity today.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom-made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
Proper hydration can lead to improved endurance, performance, and recovery. When we sweat, we lose valuable electrolytes that must be replaced. That's why Element created a zero-sugar, science-backed ratio of electrolytes that you can add to your water. It comes in 3 flavors. Sample them all risk-free with the Element Variety Pack. Carl's favorite is raspberry. Free shipping on all U.S. orders. Go to shrnetwork.biz/LMNT and get yours today.
Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest, so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Here comes Rich. Here he comes. Let's get him back on.
I lost Wi-Fi
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
because of the storm. I'm trying to figure out to just use, what do you call it?
The cell service.
Yeah, the cell
You're
service.
good. You're good right now. If it happens again, I'll just take a break. So this is the other thing I want to talk to you about. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me, Rich? He can't hear me. Hold on.
Carl, can you call me on the phone?
Text, have John Romano text me. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. I got a private chat here. This is a disaster right now. I'm sorry, folks.
I hear you. Now I hear you.
Oh, okay.
I'm really sorry. There's a huge storm here in my.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't even sweat it. So the other thing I wanted to ask you about was this. There are a lot of people that can't get to the gym right now.
Yeah.
Between COVID and the holidays or whatever. What do you think about using flex work at home? Like and here's what I'm doing. I'm doing 30 minutes of cardio, and then I'm gonna hit all these different poses. Do you think that would be a good replacement for going to the gym?
I'm not sure it's going to be totally good to. You're not going to grow. You could get harder. You could get denser. But you're not going to necessarily grow from just doing posing. You still got to hit weights, to put on, the bulk, to put on bulk muscle
right.
overall. But yeah, I think it could keep you in shape where, if you're just trying to look fit, that doing the posing can definitely help you.
It'll keep you from maybe losing muscle. Now, what if somebody wanted to start incorporating this type of work, and they don't want to retain a posing coach? What are the poses they should learn? I mean, they can go on YouTube and find it.
Yeah, I would just go to YouTube and first get the mandatory poses. Learn every mandatory pose that you will have to do for, you know, your competition. And that's, it's funny because classic bodybuilding is different from normal bodybuilding, because they don't do a lat spread, which is different. They don't do a side tricep. They do a side chest. They do a front double bicep. But let me just go with bodybuilding. Bodybuilding, you know, you practice your front double bicep, front lat spread, abdominals and thigh, side chest, side tricep, back double bicep, back lat spread, and then, you know, practice your most muscular. You should at least know all those mandatory poses. From there, what I did, you know, as a kid, and we didn't have the internet, you know, I would look at magazines and look at, you know, unique poses of some of my bodybuilding heroes, you know, whether they were 3/4 back poses or, you know, arm extended, side arm extended, or Arnold was famous for, and practice those poses. And, you know, I always tell people, you know, you need to practice in a mirror. You need to take photos of yourself to make sure you're hitting the right angle of those poses. But, you know, what makes posing very unique and entertaining is the transitions. You know, people don't realize to go from a front double bicep to a one arm double bicep, a one arm bicep, you know, you want to go through that transition so that it's very smooth. And, you know, guys that were so good at it, as you know, like Ed Corney,
right,
very good at it. Lee Labrada was an excellent transitional pose. It wasn't the pose itself, it was the transition from one pose to another. That's the art of posing. And, you know, people don't look at that and listen to music. You know, I was a very hardcore bang, bang pose because I had that dense muscle. So I wanted to really shock the judges when I hit a muscular. I wanted everything to just like pop. So I hit those kind of shots, you know, when I posed. That's what people have to really look at and analyze. I mean, it seems like just guys are just not doing that. And, you know, I'm hoping that it changes, which I'm seeing, you know, like I said, with classic, it is changing, but I like to see more of it.
Well, and when you go from a transition, let's just take what you just said. So let's say you go from a front double bicep to a single bicep. The other arm, as it's moving to where you're going to end up, you have to keep those muscles tense the whole time.
The whole time, but you want to kind of like, as you're going from a double bicep and then you're transitioning to a one-arm bicep, you want it to flow, but you also want to, like you said, you're constantly tensing your body as you're going into that transition. So the transition itself is a pose. Going into the, you know, from one pose to another pose, to go from a front bicep, double bicep into a 3/4 back is, again, it's the transition itself is a pose,
right,
as you're going into the movement, but it has to be a very smooth transition that you want to practice a lot. That's why, you know, practice makes perfect in anything. And it really does have to be practiced more and more to really get that going. And it is more entertaining. I've watched shows of, like, you know, smaller pro bodybuilding shows, and it was really boring. It was almost like they were just going in there, hitting a double bicep, hitting a most muscular, going on one side of the stage, hitting pose, going to the other side. And I'm going like, that's like what I did when I did guest posing, not when I did a routine that you would actually choreograph to the music itself, you know, hitting to the beats. And, you know, like I said, I'm an old school bodybuilder that likes to see more of that
artistic.
And, you know, and I'm not going to say I was like the best poser, but, you know, when people see my posing to today's posing, they're like, oh my God, you were like this unbelievable poser. I said I was like a medium poser, you know, to good. You know, I mentioned other bodybuilders like Lee Labrada, Bob Paris, Ed Corney. You know, these guys really made it an art form that, you know, when you watched it, it was just very cool to watch.
Dr. George Tsouliatos is watching from Greece. He says posing is an art, and he's right. I mean, we're talking about that right now. So, would you suggest to people who have no intention of ever stepping on a stage to invest time, go to YouTube, look at the compulsory poses, learn them, practice them, and start to incorporate them into as part of their training?
Yes, definitely. You should definitely incorporate posing into your training. You do, this is what I said earlier, you do all this work in the gym, in training hours, training your chest, your triceps, your back, but you're doing all that training, and then you have to go on stage to display your body, and you don't practice that display of your body. All that work becomes useless. So it should be practiced, and I've beaten a lot of great bodybuilders because they didn't practice posing. Here's another thing, when you are practicing posing, that dynamic tension is going to make the muscle harder. It's going to peak better. You're going to be able to have more endurance when you're in a show. You're also going to look at your body and analyze your weak points to your strong points. So when you hit, say, a front double bicep, there's ways of doing it to make yourself look more aesthetic, whether you do it with a vacuum or whether you kind of do it slightly twisted, whether you do it, front on. It all depends on how your physique looks. And that was another thing that I did, as I really practiced the pose, took a picture, and we didn't have phones that took pictures. I had to have a camera.
Right.
I had a Polaroid camera that I would take pictures of each pose to make sure that pose looked perfect. So my front double bicep that I hit looked best on my body compared to whoever I was posing against, whether it was Lee Haney or Robbie Robinson or Lee Labrada. I made sure that I perfected that pose on my physique.
So I want to talk about something now that you kind of mentioned this, because you're right. When you learn how to pose, you learn how to adjust certain physical anomalies. Maybe your skeletal system is a little whacked on your left shoulder, and so your left shoulder is a little lower than your right. But when you're standing in front of the judges, you have to make them look like they're the same. So by taking pictures, looking in the mirror, hitting that pose, you may raise this shoulder just a little bit, but proprioceptively, you've got that memorized where it needs to go. That's where it feels like it's supposed to go. But I see a lot of guys, especially guys like me. I'm really like Frankenstein. I feel like I have different body parts from different people. Like, what do you do if your left shoulder is just as strong as your right, but it's just not as big?
Then you display your better shoulder. And I had one arm that was a half an inch bigger than the other arm. So I always displayed my bigger arm. And then when I did the smaller arm, I actually twisted so that it was slightly more forward. So they looked, on stage, they looked like they were even or the same size. So that's what I'm saying when it comes to displaying your body. Because I had this anomaly of one arm bigger than the other, I tried to make them look as even as possible on stage by having, a camera take a picture. And then if I adjusted by angling a little bit forward, how people angle each other to make themselves look bigger.
Sure.
With your physique, if you slightly angled yourself, where if your right arm was bigger, you would bring that slightly more back, and your other arm you would bring more forward. You would make them look more even, on stage. So that was something I did. I didn't have the smallest waist, so what I did is I always did twisting shots. I did a double bicep, so that made my waist look much smaller. Hitting a straight on double bicep, wasn't my strong point, so I had to show it the way I looked my best. And when I was talking earlier, I beat a lot of great bodybuilders that probably had better genetics than me because I was prepared on that stage. Another thing is when you pose and you practice that posing, you are a lot more confident on stage. When you go on that stage and you're posing and you haven't practiced, you seem like you're not that confident.
Right.
Unless the guy is a genetic freak, he's going to beat you. But when it's very close between two guys and you're more confident, you're going to beat that other guy. And, I looked at bodybuilding when I was at that elite level. Any small percentage that was going to get me to be slightly better, I was going to take advantage of that.
Right.
So, and that's something that I still see today's bodybuilders, they don't do. It's like, I watch a guy hit a, I don't know, side chest, and I'm like, you're doing it wrong. And I'm trying to get them to learn how to, and these are elite bodybuilders that are national qualified, bodybuilders, and they're not hitting that pose right. And I sit there and I practice with them, and they're like, wow, what a difference on how that angle changed the look. It made my chest look thicker. It made my arm look bigger. And these are things that you just have to do it by practicing and looking in the mirror. And see, that's the hard part. When you talked earlier about, what's the secret? The secret is work. It's doing the work.
Right.
And a lot of guys just don't want to do the work. It's very hard when you're on a low calorie diet, low carb diet, and you are like dying. You got through your workout. I said, okay, now you're going to go 45 minutes in a room and practice posing. You're like, hell with that. I'm not doing that.
How long do you hold some of these poses, and do you hold them when practicing longer than you anticipate you'll need to on the stage, so that you have the endurance to stay in that position? How long do you actually hold each of these poses?
That is a good question. Yes, I do practice that pose to hit it a lot longer than what you're going to do on stage. So I said earlier that, I go 12 weeks out that I start practicing my poses. Now, when I hit a shot, because I'm not used to like holding poses, I can do, 10, 15 seconds. I'll hold a double bicep for 10 seconds. When I get really good at it, I'll hold it for 20, 25 seconds. I'll hold the pose. And that is so hard to hit a pose. Try to hold the pose for 30 seconds and you're tense the whole time. You start shaking, when you're doing it.
Right.
So when we talked earlier, it definitely makes a difference in the muscle density. You'll see that difference of that muscle getting, much harder. Your biceps will peak more. You'll be able to see more striations in your deltoids that you would normally not see. Even abdominals, when you start really practicing your front, your front ab shot, you start, posing your intercostals. And when you start hitting, the serratus and intercostal along with your abdominals, here's something that, I want to say is I really never trained abs, and I had one of the best abs in bodybuilding. And it was all through dynamic tension that I had great abs.
Wow.
All through posing.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I'm going to try. I mean, I have no intentions. I don't have the body for it. I don't have the desire to step on stage, but I do believe that there's a value that will change the physique once people start to focus on training muscles in this dynamic tension environment. And when you talked about shaking, I did an interview probably, I don't know, a decade ago with a scientist who explained that when your muscle starts to shake, it's because it's enlisting new muscle fibers that weren't fired already, because it's not able to hold. So it's saying, hey, guys, we're running out of steam, and it starts to recruit muscle fibers that haven't been doing any work to come and do some work. And the more often you do that, then those muscle fibers start to fire earlier. So that's the whole density thing. The more, if you get all your muscle fibers to fire, your muscle is going to be much more dense than if you only 40% are firing.
No, I mean, I didn't know the scientific approach to it. I just knew that doing it made a difference, in my physique. Yeah. And here's another thing. When you are, I told you 12 weeks out, I go in the room like 4 days a week. As you start to get leaner, the leaner you get, the more you want to pose, because then you can see, the muscle more. It's really hard if you're carrying a lot of body fat, to sit there posing, because you're not going to see anything, because you have a layer of, when you have a layer of fat on you, it becomes a lot more difficult. But as you start to get leaner and leaner, you start seeing, more of the muscle fibers that you're posing. You actually can, by practicing, you could actually hit and see things that you normally wouldn't see, when you're not as lean.
And rippling, like you see things rippling, and
exactly.
I know.
I've been able to do stuff, they have like abdominal ripples where you could go up and down with your abs without control. there's few guys that can do that, but that's all about practicing, that you're able to, or even there was another pose that I would do is like, it was called a rope in your abdominals, where you could actually crunch in the middle of your abs would just be straight on like a piece of rope.
Oh, wow.
And that was all through, practicing when I was very, very lean. If I was
but it's about getting that control. The more you practice that, the more control you have on the muscles, and I have to believe that affects strength overall too.
I was very, in my day, I was very strong. I believed in lifting heavy to gain, mass. Today, I think maybe I should have went as heavy, because I have issues.
Join the club.
But I do believe that the combination of, proper training, with heavy weights, basic movements that are going to put on that mass, and then posing, and then isolation movements that you would use, with cables, you're going to change that physique. But that next step of doing that posing, and it's funny because I did all this posing, and the first time I visited Joe Weider, he had me, in his office, and I don't know if you know a lot about Joe Weider. We'd be like, okay, take off your shirt. Let me see what you look like.
It sounds like it too. That was good. That's very good, actually. Yeah.
So I would, hit my shots, and he was the one that would tell me about dynamic tension. He would be like, hit the pose harder. He'd make me do it.
Right.
And this guy was, he had such a love and passion for bodybuilding. I learned so much from Joe Weider, and it's a shame that a lot of people today don't even know who Joe Weider is.
I know.
He was definitely a person that I felt was a mentor, for me, because not only, because of him being, the first thing I wanted to do is when I moved to California was see Joe Weider, to go to Woodland Hills where his office was. But besides that was him being this entrepreneur, which later on in life, I'm an entrepreneur, and the things that he did, and, the stories he told me was just some amazing stuff. But he was a big advocate of posing and dynamic tension.
Yeah. And it's a lost art today. Nobody pays attention to it. Stay tuned. We're going to take one last commercial break. I want to talk about your new podcast with John Romano when we come back. Stay tuned.
Okay.
By now, you're aware of the cognitive benefits of nootropics. My friends over at Pure Nootropics are giving my listeners 10 to 30% off their already great prices on over 70 high-quality nootropics. Stock up on DHM so you can feel good after your holiday celebration, or try the Superhuman Stack to boost your brain and energize your day. Go to shrnetwork.biz/pure, that's PURE, and start saving today. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? The rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carbs, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor? Strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
Proper hydration can lead to improved endurance, performance, and recovery. When we sweat, we lose valuable electrolytes that must be replaced. That's why Element created a zero-sugar, science-backed ratio of electrolytes that you can add to your water. It comes in 3 flavors. Sample them all risk-free with the Element Variety Pack. Carl's favorite is raspberry. Free shipping on all U.S. orders. Go to shrnetwork.biz/LMNT and get yours today.
I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to PIEDMONTESE.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. I saw Rich there a minute ago.
I'm here. I'm sorry.
Your camera, I don't have an image. I just have a voice, but that's okay. Oh, here you go. Okay, thank you. So, you and John Romano,
Like I said, I'm having Wi-Fi difficulties, and I know this show is live, but I'm sorry.
Nah, it's okay. Listen, this is why nobody wants to do live besides me. I've had guests not show up, and I've had to do the whole interview without them by myself in the past. So,
oh shit!
Yeah, it happens. But I love what I do. I'm happy.
Yeah. So right now, I was trying to on the break. I was trying to get the Wi-Fi because it was like a monsoon here. But so I'm for all your listeners, I apologize for the.
Nah, no, it's all good. And I know a lot of people tuned in and thought to themselves, "Oh man, they're talking about posing. Like I thought they were going to be talking about drugs or something like that." People don't understand the value of posing, and one of the components of creating a beautiful muscular physique, and it's lost because nobody cares about it anymore. All they care about is deadlifts and squats and all that sort of stuff.
And I hate to say it, bodybuilding has regressed, not progressed. I mean, the guys are very big. I'm not going to tell you that they're huge guys, but what I see is I feel the height of bodybuilding was like right when Phil Heath was just winning his first Olympias. And then it kind of got lost. When you compare someone like a Ronnie Coleman, and not that this show's about me.
I have a way to fix it. I'm not kidding you. And you and I need to talk off the air.
Yeah.
And the timing is perfect. Well, we need to talk. I want to share an idea with you that I've had in my head for 12 years now.
Really?
And it all started when I read Muscle, Smoke, and Mirrors by Randy Roach about the origins of bodybuilding, the fathers of physical culture, what they were all about. They wanted it wasn't just about muscle. It was about functionality. It was about health. It was about looking good, feeling good, living life, and being muscular. That's where this all started. And then it became like an aberration. It's like we used to have regular porn. It was all good. Now we got scat porn. We got whoa, what do you mean? I don't want to see that stuff. It's like everything, as humans, we push everything too far. If it doesn't kill us, we'll keep on pushing. So I want to talk to you about that. I have something I want to share with you. But anyway, someone posted, and we can't really see their screen name because Facebook is blocking it. Unfortunately, today's posing is neglected parameter of bodybuilding. And bodybuilders pose without grace, as you pointed out. Talk about John Romano and you. You guys have a podcast now. Huh?
Yeah, it's funny. During the whole pandemic, a lot of people were, isolated and stuck in their homes and depressed. I basically said, I'm bored. I want to do a lot more while I'm sitting in my house. I
Right.
work remotely. I changed a lot. Like my entire, sports nutrition business, Gaspari Nutrition, I run it remotely, and it's running more successful than ever.
Right.
During that time, I also told John, my success, I wanted to talk to other people that were successful in the fitness industry, that were able to go from being an athlete or go from being part of the fitness industry and being able to monetize that and becoming, making money, becoming famous. So, we started this show, Fitness, Fame, and Fortune, and we've had great guests. We've had you on the show.
A lot of fun. A lot of fun.
And it's really progressing and growing, and people love the show. The concept. We'll talk about bodybuilding and and training, but our show is based off of a lot of us guys that have been able to become successful. We've had many great guests. Jay Cutler, CT Fletcher, Mike O'Hearn. We've had a lot of great guests on the show that are all they all show success. Yourself, Carl, that been able to the question we always ask is like, what's your secret to success? And it's work. And all of you guys say the same thing. It's just be consistent and just keep going. Like, you've been doing this how many years? You said 30.
15. The 19th of November, 15 years.
15 years, a long time. And yeah, I know when we talked that you were the first. You were before they even knew the word podcast.
Right.
You
Right.
started it. But I really enjoy the show. John and I have great guests. We get to talk about the stuff that we enjoy talking about, and and have these guests with all the same, they're all basically this, they're all different, but they're all the same, and how they became successful. And it gives other people opportunities, what to do. The big thing today is, I think everybody wants like this get quick rich scheme. There is no
Right.
get rich, there's no get quick rich. There is none of that. It takes time and efforts and learning and and obstacles that you have to overcome. And I believe an entrepreneur is a very difficult job, because you can go from being ultra wealthy to ultra poor. So I love doing it, and it's my way of giving back to the sport. We haven't monetized our show yet, but it continues to grow, and maybe we will. But right now, it's all about just getting the word out,
Sharing the information, which is wonderful. It really is. So, who's your next guest, and where can people find your show?
That's a good question. Fitness, Fame, and Fortune can be seen on all Apple Podcast, YouTube, all the different
Social media. I mean,
social media,
streaming platforms, the podcast and streaming platforms, right?
Yes, all the streaming platforms. We're on all of them. You can find me on Instagram on Rich Gaspari. Come to Rich Gaspari Facebook or Rich Gaspari, Instagram.
Right.
We do have Dragon Slayer Media, which is our other Instagram that's part of the our podcast, our media channel. So we're growing that. So if you guys want to come on board to listen to the show, by all means, come on board.
Rich, the holidays are upon us. You and I are Italian. We love to eat good food. We like to drink good alcohol. Do you drink during the holidays, Rich?
During the holidays, I let myself, eat and drink and enjoy. I'm what you just said. It's funny. I was talking to John, and we're like two old Italians. Like, he loves to cook, and I love to cook. And I used to be always like the guy who used to have, my mom or my grandmom or my sister.
Yeah,
and
but
now that I have a family,
a lot of them are gone too. A lot of them are gone, unfortunately.
And they're gone. And I've learned all the secrets to their recipes and cooking. And I did the entire Thanksgiving dinner with the sides and the turkey, and and I did it all myself.
Nice, very nice. Well,
So,
the reason I'm asking is because my next guest, after we take our last break here, you and I, my next guest has a secret, a trick, and I've been using it. I drank 5 days in a row. Every morning I woke up without a hangover. Every morning I woke up feeling fresh, and I drink. I don't know about you, but I drink Negroni, and Negronis are powerful, and I'll drink 4 or 5 of them. And the idea that I can wake up the next morning and not feel like crap is an amazing. I mean, if I had this stuff when I lived in Vegas in my 20s, I don't know what would have happened to me. I'll tell you right. Yeah, this stuff is amazing. We're going to talk about it after the break, but it's a supplement called DHM.
Okay.
And if anybody drinks alcohol, even occasionally, this is the magic bullet. Rich, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today, brother.
Thank you so much, Carl. I apologize for the.
Don't worry about it.
Issues.
Don't say a word.
I love to be on the show again anytime.
And you will, absolutely. I'm going to come up with other ideas to tap into your brain. So I am. We are. Cool. All right, look, I'll talk to you later. Take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you.
Happy Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas.
You too.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I already gave the secret away, but I got to tell you, man, there are a lot of supplements out there that you buy and you go, I think it's working. I don't know if it's working. Maybe it's working. Maybe I'll buy it again. This stuff, it's working. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom-made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said that all disease begins in your gut. That's why it's so important to protect yourself with boosted immune system. If you drink coffee, tea, smoothies, or really any beverage in the morning, and you're looking for a tasty way to start your day and defend yourself against harmful bacteria, then I have just the thing for you to try. It's called the Ultimate Immunity Protection Stack, and it was put together by my friends over at Bioptimizers. Their immunity stack has 3 products which contain over 18 natural herbs and probiotic blends formulated to fight and eliminate bad bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, and repair compromised gut lining. It also includes psychobiotics, which help increase serotonin and happy chemicals to naturally elevate your mood, performance, and cognitive function with no side effects or dependencies. It's a great addition to your morning routine, and it tastes amazing. Just stir it into any beverage, sip, and enjoy. It's the ultimate way to boost your immune system right before the holiday season. Go to shrnetwork.biz/ultimate immunity and use code SHR10 and save an extra 10% off on you won't find this deal or stack anywhere else, and this special is only until November 30th. For fast shipping and the best deal, go to shrnetwork.biz/ultimate immunity today.
When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snack Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today.
Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today.
Mind Bullet is a kratom product derived from the coffee family to boost energy and creative juices. Mind Bullet comes in both pill and liquid form for the ultimate pre-workout supplement. When needing a little pick-me-up or to get through the morning fog, Mind Bullet will set your productive course fast. Go to shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet, all one word, today, and save 20%. No subscription required. That's shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet. Get yours today.
By now, you're aware of the cognitive benefits of nootropics. My friends over at Pure Nootropics are giving my listeners 10 to 30% off their already great prices on over 70 high-quality nootropics. Stock up on DHM so you can feel good after your holiday celebration, or try the Superhuman Stack to boost your brain and energize your day. Go to shrnetwork.biz/pure, that's PURE, and start saving today.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. Whoa, knock, knock, knock. We're here with Chris Dziak. He's our favorite nootropic wonder man. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. How are you, Carl?
Good, good, good. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I did. Small, but filled with lots of good treats.
Are you in California?
I'm in New Mexico.
Oh, I like New Mexico. Very, very nice. Okay.
Yeah, but we're well shut down, so there wasn't really anything to do but hang out with the family, which is good.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. That's exactly what you want to do. Small crowds, more intimate, lots more fun, and you don't have to share as much food. You can keep it all.
Lots of leftovers.
So I have to be honest. I could not ever live without DHM ever again. Elisa and I just moved Friday, and then we had Thanksgiving and moved into this new house. And the holidays always make me feel, rightfully so, festive. Right. And festivities to me is, a good buzz, a good bottle of champagne, a couple glasses of wine, maybe a couple mixed drinks. But the problem with me is, and I've complained about this on the show for years, if I go out and have a few drinks on a Friday night, it takes me till Monday to feel normal again. Uh-huh. It does. And, I'm 62 years old, and I just thought, well, it's age, and you just got to get used to it, and you just drink less. I drank alcohol the past 5 days. Last night, Elisa and I split a bottle of good champagne to celebrate the new house. Mm-hmm. I drank a bottle of wine New Year's Eve night by myself. I go home, and before I get in bed, I take 2 DHM. Two things happen. The obvious is I wake up in the morning, I don't feel like I drank. I feel fine. I feel great. I feel maybe even better than just a normal wake up, right? But more importantly, whenever I drink alcohol, I can guarantee you that I'm going to sleep like crap. I'll wake up a couple times in the middle of the night, not get back to sleep. Finally, I'll get up out of bed and go downstairs, which means the whole next day is wrecked. I feel horrible. I didn't get sleep. Plus, I'm hungover. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. You buy supplements that you don't even know work, and you love them. DHM works. You just take one or two. If you had one drink, you take 1, 2 drinks. If you had a few drinks, if you drank more than you think you should have, you take 2 before bed. You will wake up in the morning feeling ready to go. You won't believe it. You won't believe that you drank the night before. It's the most amazing stuff in the world. It really is. So for those who don't know what DHM is, tell them what it is, Chris.
So it's a natural product, comes from the Japanese raisin tree that's called dihydromyristin. And basically it's a natural substance. It's found in a lot of things, but get it extracted from this plant. And it's been shown in studies to have a lot of liver protection. And so what they've done is look at how it works in the liver. And really what it does is increases the enzymes that your body needs to break down ethanol, which is the byproduct of alcohol. And the ethanol is like really what destroys your cell tissues and stuff. So in theory, if you're able to metabolize it faster, it's going to make it so that there's less buildup, which is causing a lot of the damage when you're drinking, basically. Now, I will say that DHM is pretty effective, but it doesn't always work. For example, I had a good cousin of mine got married, and I'm like, here's a bottle of DHM, man, for the night before. He drank a whole bottle of bourbon, and
forget about it. I mean, come on.
Needless to say, it didn't work. But if you're imbibing on like a normal basis, it's quite effective. And so what
I've drank 5 Negronis one night. So for people who know what Negronis are, they're like martinis, Italian martinis. It's a shot of gin, a shot of Campari, a half a shot of sweet vermouth on the rocks, and a little garnish of an orange rind. I drank 5 of those one night, and I took 3 DHM before bed. And I woke up in the morning, and I did not feel like I went out drinking at all. So you're right. I mean, if you're going to do something stupid, like literally risk alcohol poisoning,
right.
You don't care about waking up tomorrow feeling good. So stop kidding yourself. Don't even take the DHM. Don't even waste it.
Basically. And the other caveat too is it, I have a lot of friends that you have a good methodology, in my opinion, of how to use this effectively if you're imbibing. Now, some people, they are very anti issues the next day, and so they'll take a couple drinks and take a DHM every few drinks. Now, what that does is, again, your body is, in theory, metabolizing faster, and so it makes you feel like you can consume more.
And you can, because you're processing it faster.
Right. And so, like, anecdotally,
I would call that person an alcohol bulimic.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, I'm gonna eat all this food, and I'm gonna go vomit so I can start eating more food again.
There you go. Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? Why? Like, get your buzz on, feel good, drink like a normal person, but just don't feel like crap the next day.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly. So I like the way you do it in terms of starting to take the DHM more towards the end of your night, I guess.
Yeah.
Of your experience. And so that seems to be the most effective, because I have had people tell me, they're like, yeah, like when I'm taking that, I feel like I can't get drunk. And I'm like, well, it's all about timing. And it's like you said, I like your analogy. It's really good in terms of
alcohol bulimia.
Right.
Like, you're gonna take it while you're drinking so you don't feel the drink. Why drink? Why even drink then? Just get your buzz on and take it on the way home. That's it.
Exactly. So it is a very effective supplement. And as I've said in the past as well, is it's, more useful than just, alcohol stuff like that, preventing hangovers.
Well, we did a show that shows that people who have type 2 diabetes benefit from taking DHM. It actually reduces the damage to their body, and it seems to have a beneficial effect on metabolizing sugar, and it kind of normalizes them and makes them like less diabetic, let's say. So think about that for a second. We know cancer is related to diabetes. Alzheimer's disease is related to diabetes. Why? Because blood sugar levels get crazy and inflammation turns on. Well, this is a great prophylaxis as well. If you're somebody who's worried about metabolic disorders, take one a day, like a vitamin. It's gonna keep your body from getting damaged while you're trying to get your act together, eat differently, move more, sleep better, and so on. So
absolutely, it's very good for metabolic function, and so you hit the nail on the head there. And so it is something that could be considered more ubiquitous in terms of being able to use almost as like a daily supplement. Because of the other benefits that it has, in addition to helping your body metabolize ethanol faster.
So while DHM in and of itself is the strongest reason, if you drink alcohol, even occasionally, to get a bottle, Chris has over 70 different nootropics at ridiculously low prices, because he's kind of like the generic. Right. So you go to these companies, they mix 6 or 7 nootropics together. They give it a great name. They put it in a bottle and they want to charge you $86 a month. Well, you can find all those same ingredients at Chris's website, but it's kind of like the generic. It's not a fancy bottle. It's not a fancy label. It's the pure compound. He goes to great testing and standardization extents to make sure that you are getting what you think you were buying in the first place. And you don't have to pay the stupid prices because it's got a fancy name on the bottle. So any nootropic that you're using now that you're paying some $120 a month for, look at the label, look at the first 3 or 4 ingredients, because those are the prime movers all the time, and go to Chris's website and just order those. Save yourself a bundle of money and get better results. If you do want to learn more, and you do, about the 70 different things that you can buy at Pure Nootropics, go to shrnetwork.biz/pure. That's Pure, shrnetwork.biz/pure. This audience gets ridiculous discounts above and beyond the already low prices, because Chris wants to be part of this family here. So he's really gone bent over backwards to make sure that you guys are getting the best deals on the internet. And while you're there, pick up a bottle of DHM. I promise you, you will thank me the day after you go out drinking. You know, maybe you don't drink a lot, but then there's those times where you go out with your friends and you drink and then you feel like crap the next day. Why feel like crap if you don't have to? Just keep the bottle around. What are some of the big movers in the nootropic category that you seem to move a lot of?
Yeah, so there's a couple items. Nootropics, there's a couple really well-known synthetic nootropics that are kind of in a weird classification. And so the most popular ones that you're not going to find on a place like Amazon are things like Noopept is popular. A lot of the race tams are very popular. And then the more ubiquitous ones that you would find on an Amazon or similar type retailer, even at Whole Foods, is a lot of like the different cholinergic products, you know, your different forms of choline, whether it's, you know, acetylcholine, alpha GPC, choline bitartrate, you know, so we try and give a lot of different options in those areas. But what we do is we do look at a lot of the flagship products, see what they have. And for most of them, we carry a large amount of the ingredients that might be inside of those. And we basically do a lot of research when it comes to selecting ingredients. Kind of like you said, we put a lot of effort into getting the right quality and testing, but it's also sourcing the right format. We've seen a lot of players in this industry that, you know, they go and find a plant like a rhodiola plant, and basically they just grind that crap up and put it in a capsule. And so you're not getting a standardized format with the same dose every time. And what we do is when we set dosing on our products, even though it's a singular item, we're setting the dosing to match the clinical trials. So that you get the same dose as what was used in the clinical trial, which we're basing our claims on, you know. And so like things like Bacopa monnieri has been studied extensively for memory, and we use the same one, the same actual, you know, manufactured ingredient that is used in the clinical studies. And so often we try and go with those exact versions that were used in the studies, whereas all the other vendors don't necessarily do that. And, you know, it's funny because like you go and you look at Amazon, and Amazon, like a real popular product is black seed oil, Nigella sativa extract, and it has a flavonoid in it called thymoquinone. And so like a lot of people like black seed oil for just a whole host of benefits. But realistically, the active ingredient is thymoquinone. Well, if you go and you look for a black seed oil on Amazon, there's some products that are standardized to have like a certain amount of thymoquinone, but then there's ones that are just like black seed oil, and you have no idea how much of the active ingredient is in there, you know. And so it's funny too, because like we go and we have a black seed that's like standardized to 5%. Well, even though our capsules are whatever 200 mgs, our product is still more potent than the other guys that are double the mgs or the fill, but have standardization or whatever. And so it's unfortunate. We feel like there's a lot of deception, especially in outlets like Amazon, with how the vendors list the product out, and they go and they're like, this is a 10x, when it's really like a 10x extract. And so they're saying this is a 10x equivalent. And so we try to, we value our integrity and our reputation, and that's why we try not to play those games,
right?
And go after.
Well, and then what happens is when people don't feel anything.
Right.
Oh, I guess black seed oil doesn't work. No, it's the one you bought. Excuse me.
And you're right, because like guys like that are doing a disservice to us. And because people are getting products that are not effective. And so then it basically taints the whole industry, because they're like, yeah, supplements don't work. I've tried it. And it's like, well, have you tried like the good quality version that, because you look at Consumer Reports and Labdoor and places like that are doing extensive testing, and they get these products off the shelves that they buy retail, testing them to find that they have nothing in them.
Yeah, it's staggering. That's the supplement industry, and I don't think that any regulations are going to ever change people who like to get over. There's always going to be crooked people out there. What do you think about the race TAMs? I took piracetam. I don't know. I took phenyl piracetam. 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I didn't notice much of anything from it other than its foul taste, because I bought raw powder. What do you think of them?
So like, to me, it's really like hit or miss. So people either tend to love them because they're a responder, or they're like basically ineffective completely.
Who responds to the race TAMs, you think? What is it about them that makes them responsive?
Who knows? We could get into a whole diatribe about like neurochemistry and stuff like that. It's just like, biodiversity. And I feel that way with literally every supplement in existence personally, so there's stuff that I can take that'll work fantastic for me, and I recommend it to you, and you're like, it doesn't do crap. But and it's just, everybody has, different genetics is really what it comes down to. I'm a big believer in looking at like, genetic polymorphisms, single, nucleotide polymorphisms, and like what those may suggest. Like, we're in the biohacking community, right? And so like what some people are starting to do is take tests like 23andMe, go and get the raw genetic data and send it through a couple third-party services for like basically looking at these genetic differences. And so there are people that, for example, like are over methylators, and that has ramifications for what type of folic acid, whether you should be taking folic acid or folate.
Right.
And things like that. And so I just, we sell plenty of this product to where we genuinely get people where it's like, this is the best thing ever since sliced bread. And then people on the other hand that are like, this doesn't work whatsoever. And it's literally that from the same batch, all that stuff. And so that's why we tend to have a generous return policies, because like we know these products, all of our products we have belief in, otherwise we wouldn't do them.
Right.
But whether it's going to work for you is hit or miss, and that's why we want you to find what works for you, because we know once you do, you're going to keep ordering that stuff, because it's.
But I think it's pretty safe if somebody is buying a name brand nootropic blend. There's a lot of them out there. And if they look at the first 3 or 4 ingredients and they like that blend, they're like, oh, this blend works. I feel it. Right. It's pretty safe to say that those first 3 or 4 ingredients are probably the reason that they like that blend. Is that true? No?
It's tricky because like if you go and you look at a lot of blends, it isn't because the labels will list in order of
quantity,
like amount, right? So like there's a lot of basically nootropics that have huperzine A. And so huperzine A is kind of it's a choline sterase inhibitor. So it has kind of the same effect as a cholinergic, and that's why it's put in a lot of the nootropic stacks, right? But it's such a micro dose thing where,
it has to be.
10
so
mg.
Do you know what is another cholinesterase inhibitor?
Well, yeah, tell me.
sarin gas. You've
Wow,
heard of
that's
sarin
kind of
gas,
weird.
right? You've heard of sarin, right? There was a train in China that they released it. They killed like hundreds of people.
That's pretty crazy, huh?
So sarin gas works because it's a very powerful and permanent cholinesterase inhibitor.
Permanent. Wow, that's pretty crazy.
So cholinesterase diminishes the effects of choline. Choline is the neurotransmitter. It goes across the synapse. It tells the brain to do something. But cholinesterase makes sure that only that one impulse gets across. Otherwise, you have deja vu. And so sarin gas is a suicide cholinesterase inhibitor. So when you breathe it in, your body goes berserk because all of your nerves keep firing the same things. Your heart stops beating because it's not getting the signal to beat properly. You stop breathing and you die. So cholinesterase inhibitors have to be used in very, very, very small amounts.
Right. And so that, like, huperzine A is one of those microdose things where if you see it, it's never more than 20 or actually, okay, so like it's micrograms. So like the way that we buy it is we buy it in a powder that's diluted to like crazy amount already, and so you're putting in very, very, very little amount of huperzine A. But the nice thing about that is it lets them put in some effective ingredients. And one of the ones that was real popular up until like kind of the FDA, targeted it a wee bit was vinpocetine, which is a vasodilator. And so it's like you're trying to kind of create a synergy with several of these different ingredients. And honestly, these guys do a good job of making a blend that's effective for 70% of people. The problem is it's never going to be effective for 100% of people because, you might be one of those few people that huperzine A just has a completely bad effect on, and so you don't want to be having one step forward, 2 steps back, or it could be that you're just not getting the best effect out of this product. If you were to remove one of those items that's being stacked in there, it might be far more effective than it is with that particular item.
Right. So there's 70 different products at the website. So you should go there and try some things and see what works for you. You can save some money. So here's the deal. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/pure, you'll be transported to a page where, number one, everybody should get a bottle of DHM for the holidays. You'll save 30% off. It's so inexpensive. The idea of giving people 30% off even more is just is astonishing to me. Or you can get 25% off of the Superhuman Stack, which was something that Chris and I and Dan came up with. We experimented with 4 different things, and we all felt something positive in the way of both mood and cognition. Or you can get 10% off anything at the website that you find. SHR30 is the code for DHM, 30% off. SHR is the code for the Superhuman Stack by itself for 25% off. And SHR10 for anything else that you find at the website. It's Christmas. Get yourself shopping with something that will actually make you feel good and help your brain. Let's see something here. Oh, and I just got news that we are going to have an R-Alla pretty soon, and that's amazing because we just did an amazing show about R-Alla. So that'll be there too.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's you guys had mentioned it, and so we sold an ALA, but it was a racemic mix. And after talking to you guys and researching it a lot further, I mean, it's like it's one of those products where definitely the RALA looks markedly better.
Yeah.
It's because the other isomer competes with the active isomer. And so that's why it's kind of nice. So we're getting we have a shelf life stable version. It's actually sodium RALA. And we're going to have a very competitive price and everything on it. So keep an eye out for that. We're hoping it should be ready to go in the next 2 weeks. And I'll be sure to send you some, Carl.
In fact, taking 400 to 600 milligrams of R-Alla first thing in the morning without changing anything else, test subjects lost up to 6 kilos of body fat exclusively, no muscle.
I'm gonna have to tell my wife that. Just kidding.
Now, if you already have very low blood sugar, you may see not as wonderful as an effect. But this is especially important for people who tend to have higher blood sugar as well, because it's amazing glucose disposal agent as well. So it's great stuff. Are you excited for the holidays?
Yeah, honestly, what I'm really excited about is the family and I have little kids, and
I heard them a second ago.
Get them to go skiing earlier. So we went skiing a couple weeks ago, and it was my kids' first time on the bunny hill, and it was magic just seeing them come down. And so I'm gonna keep working on them and get them up there so that I can when I was young, my dad he'd be like, son, we're playing hooky today, we're gonna go skiing, and we'd do that. And I'm like, I want to do that with my kids, because it's wonderful. One of the few activities that I still am really active in and enjoy doing.
Wonderful. Let's give the website out one more time. It's shrnetwork.biz/pure. Go there. Absolutely go there and get DHM. You will thank me. You will say, Carl, we had a great time for the holidays. I drank and I feel great. Thank you for telling me about DHM. I swear by it. I will never, ever be without DHM. I'm not kidding about that. That stuff is magic. And then, of course, pick up the nootropics, come up with your own blends, and show Pure Nootropics some love. They are a sponsor here at Superhuman Radio. And remember, this show doesn't happen without sponsors. So if you gain, we have some amazing emails we've been receiving. People telling me that they made life decisions based on information they learned on this show. We have some videos we're going to be releasing soon. There's a lot of podcasts out there, and a lot of them, they're sexy and edgy and fun to listen to. But this podcast delivers information that people use to make life-saving choices in their lives and their families' lives. And I get emails from them all the time saying, I listened to a show about 7 months ago, and I did what the guy said, and here's what's happening to me now. Thank you so much. People make life choices based on this podcast. And this podcast exists because of people like Chris Dziak. So show him some love.
Thank you, Carl. And don't sell yourself short. You're just as sexy as all the rest of them.
And edgy. Am I sexy and edgy, you think? Am I?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
All right. I appreciate that. And that's it. That's the end of today's show. Also, thanks to Rich Gaspari. Even with all the technical difficulties, I think people should start considering dynamic tension work in the form of posing, double biceps. Go to YouTube. Look at the compulsory poses that bodybuilders have to learn how to use, and teach them to yourself. The quality of muscle and strength, you will see changes. And I'll get an email from somebody in 6 months saying, wow, I thought you were stupid. I thought you were crazy. I tried it and it works. And we will see everybody tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday. We have Coach Rob Regish coming on for the Blueprint Power Hour. So tune in then. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Carl. Pleasure.
And we will see everybody tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Take care.